Let's go, people. Get in here. We got stuff to talk about. This is a bonus Coffee with Scott Adams, complete with coffee. As soon as we get to 500, we'll get serious. Yes, Bald Prophet. Hey, Eric. You should all be following Eric Finman, who just joined us. Because if you're not, you're missing stuff. All right. So I was just taking a shower, and as all thoughts come to me in the shower, all the good ones anyway, consider this. If you're watching the news, and probably most of you are in one way or another, it probably feels like this is the movie you're watching. The movie you think you're watching is that a President Trump who is being battered by all these Russian allegations is on the verge of impeachment. He can't get health care passed. He doesn't even seem to have a grasp of the details of health care, insurance versus regular. His communication staff is in upheaval. There's chaos. He's talking out against his AG. It's just one problem after another. All right, that's one of the movies. Here's another one of the movies, and I'm going to predict that we're starting to see what I call the turn. The turn means that summer is starting to wind down, and we're going to move from he's incompetent, that President Trump, to, well, okay, he's pretty effective, but we don't always like the things he did because they're Republican things. So let me tell you the story that looks like it's shaping up right now. And I'm not saying that this will definitely happen, but we're right on the cusp today, like actually today, to complete Trump victory while you weren't watching. Let me tell the story. All right. So the story you're seeing in the media is that he's practically ready for impeachment and everything's going wrong and he's accomplished nothing and blah, blah, blah. But if you're watching the news, you know that the Senate, I believe it's the Senate, is going to put the healthcare stuff up for a vote. And those of you who don't know arcane Senate rules, that means that it is then open to all kinds of amendments. And the amendments can be of any nature. So in other words, the amendments can effectively rewrite the entire bill. Now, one possibility is that they just decide, well, we won't rewrite the new bill, but we'll get rid of Obamacare. But here's the win. So here's how close they are to complete dominant victory. Here, I'm talking about the Trump administration. And it's so close, it's like it's in their hands. It's like it's sitting in the palm of their hand, and all they have to do is go, goop. Total victory. That's how close it is. Now, they may not do that. They may decide, maybe there are different events that happen. Maybe, maybe there's stuff I don't know. But here's what it looks like. If what comes out of this latest flailing by Congress is that they cancel Obamacare, and they don't have exactly a perfect plan yet, but they say some version of this. We're going to either open it up to public debate to try to get the best possible plan, or we've created a website where the best ideas will be brought together so that we can debate it both in public and privately and see what we can come up with. Or if they say we're going to do something in the short run to get us past the gap of Obamacare going away, but in the long run we have a plan to get to higher coverage through innovation. All right. If that happens, some version of that, it's going to look like healthcare was at least successful, or at least something happened that was similar to what the Republicans wanted. If that happens, the next thing that's going to happen is tax reform. And there's probably a better chance of getting some good tax reform. So at the end of the year, what we're likely to be looking at is a strong economy with strong jobs, and immigration, illegal immigration down to such a small number that it's no longer a big problem, and lots of progress. We're likely to see ISIS on its final days, because that looks likely. We're likely to see something happen in healthcare that is what the Republicans promised, so that's going to look effective even if you don't like it. And it's likely that they'll either be, waist deep in tax reform, or they'll have it done by then. So imagine, if you will, an end of a year with ISIS, economy, tax reform, healthcare, all in pretty good shape, while China is starting to crack down on North Korea. That's sort of, the North Korea thing's probably a long game, so I wouldn't expect too much by the end of the year. But infrastructure too, there could be some kind of infrastructure bill. So how close are we to all of those things happening? Well, we're close enough that all you needed to make all that happen, and I'm going to blow you away a little bit, there was only one thing you needed to make all of this happen. Because remember, the healthcare thing is the key to the last dominoes falling. And they're opening it up to full debate today. So really anything's on the table today. And if the messaging that comes out of this is the right messaging, it's going to look like a total win. And the messaging should look like this. We canceled Obamacare. We don't have exactly the best plan to replace it, but we're opening it up to the public. We're going to use innovation. We're going to drive down costs, and with costs going down, that's how you drive down insurance. We're going to use capitalism and competition to get there. Now, if they come out of it with that message and Obamacare canceled, it looks like a full win. And what was the one ingredient you needed to make all of that happen and all of the dominoes fall? Let's see if you can guess it. What was the one thing that had to happen recently for all of this to be possible? For Trump to take it all the way, they needed healthcare to fail through its normal course of business, right? So that's already happened. Yes, somebody had it right. Scaramucci. The key to all of this, the key to complete Trump administration victory, and really they've got one toe in the door. They are so close right now. All they need is a little bit of good messaging on healthcare once they get rid of Obamacare, and it's a full win. And what you needed to do that was Anthony Scaramucci. Right. So the last element for complete Trump victory just fell into place. Because it's about the messaging on healthcare that's going to make the difference. The messaging will shape what they actually do about it. So there's a general feeling that you come up with ideas and then the messaging people just tell the message. But the reality is it's a two-way system. If the messaging people get the messaging just perfectly right, that can actually affect the how you work on it and what you do and everything else. So it is sort of a two-way street. So people said I should keep these shorter, so I'm going to keep this one shorter. So I'll just summarize for those of you who jumped in. The popular view in the news is that the Trump administration is floundering and failing and probably close to impeachment, and they're all at each other, and the AG is beleaguered, and the communication staff just changed, and there's chaos and all that. The reality, which I'm suggesting, is that we're right on the cusp, and now all the pieces are in place for a dominant, complete Trump administration victory, the likes of which you've never seen. And I think it's completely going to surprise everybody because it's so close, and yet it's completely invisible because of the noise about Russia and everything else. So all it takes is repealing Obamacare, coming up with a really good messaging about the process. Here's the key. The process for coming up with a better plan. It's not about the better plan. It's about coming up with a process that says, yes, innovation is the key. Here's how we're going to approach pulling innovation into our future planning for healthcare. If you come up with that, that's the biggest win ever, and then the rest of the dominoes fall into place. And by the way, there may be some point in this toward the end of the year where President Trump has simply waited too long for the special counsel to do their job. And there is a point where firing the special counsel would be more popular than not. And so that's the timer that we're already seeing. If the special counsel, amazingly came up with some crime that needed to be dealt with, and they did it soon, then people would say, well, I'm glad we had that process. But if he doesn't come up with anything, and it's, it becomes the holiday season, if it turns into Christmas and the AG doesn't have anything that we've seen, Trump can fire him. Or he can fire the Attorney General, or both of them, and he'll be bulletproof. I would certainly be in favor of that. Anyway, that's all. I'm going to keep it short today. Remember, don't win small if you can win bigly.